Don't get me wrong, and this is very important. Catcalling is an incessant and degrading form of verbal harassment, but it is also in our rights as citizens of this country. For those who argue that catcalling causes severe emotional distress and is not protected under the First Amendment, think again. Hate-spewing groups like the Westboro Baptist Church and the KKK still exist today and preach their views in public. Although their hateful words cause emotional distress, we allow them to vocalize their beliefs and impress them upon the American public because of the very principle of freedom that this country was founded upon. Catcalling is no different, and in fact, it is far less extreme. Also, let's talk about the practical side of things. How are we going to enforce a fine on catcalling? A woman isn't going to get catcalled, call the police, tell the officer the man's name and appearance, and the officer will say, "Boys, we need backup, we gotta take down the catcaller." That's not only ridiculous in itself, but it is also the biggest waste of law enforcement resources I can think of. Instead of investigating a homicide, our men and women in uniform are going to go take down some loser who pathetically tried to get a woman's attention. Basically, placing a fine on catcalling is an infringement on our right to free speech. Also, placing a fine on catcalling is an unrealistic statement in itself because the enforcement of such a fine is impossible. Thank you. I yield my time to a couple questions.
Okay, are there any questions? Okay, the chair of Georgia time.
Thank you.
Are there any subsequent speakers for the crowd? Yeah, you. Oh wait, are you guys going together? Yeah. Okay.
Oh damn, girl, you fine.
You've all probably seen that happen, or have even said something similar before. We're not calling catcallers bad people because we don't think they realize the possible consequences of their actions. Like, if you take us, for example, catcalling doesn't have a traumatic effect on us, but it's definitely not a compliment. Most of us have grown up in relatively privileged communities, so to us, catcalling may be a silly remark and even like funny sometimes. However, I think we need to widen our scope. Imagine a girl who was a rape victim. She was brutally dehumanized and violated. Her own body was taken away from her. She feels dirty, shamed, soiled, and forever different. Now again, picture that girl trying to get over this traumatic event. If she's walking down the streets, do you really think she wants to be objectified once again? Of course not. Of course, catcalling is a much smaller scale than rape, but think about it. The mere objectification can bring back all the same emotional distress and make her feel less than human once again. We understand catcallers don't have bad intentions most of the time, but we need to understand that catcalling is a minuscule factor that can promote rape culture. By making catcalling punishable, we are giving the people a message that there are better ways to get someone's attention. The opposition states that it is difficult to enforce a fine. I agree, I completely agree. But by creating a punishment, people will be more inclined to think before they speak. We also believe that with a fine, people will eventually get over this whole idea of catcalling. We feel that the word just needs to be put out, but objectification is not a casual thing. A person is not defined by their physical appearance. And there's so much more to every single person. Thank you for listening.
Okay, are there any questions? Questions? Anyone? Yes?
So many people are catcalled in all different places all the time. How do you suppose everyone can be fined or punished for that?
They're definitely not. We're saying they shouldn't be, but the fact that they could get a fine would maybe put the idea in their mind that it's not a good idea.
It would teach future generations also that this is not a socially acceptable thing. It's illegal. You get punished. Yeah.
Okay, a compliment, if you tell a girl, wow, I think you're really pretty, you're like, that's not really catcalling, but if you're like, hey, you got a nice set of buns. If you make her uncomfortable, if you feel like
she definitely doesn't feel the same way about you, and like you're just putting this on her, like forcing, I don't know. There's something that's mostly.
Okay, time for one more question. Yeah, you.
But even then, sometimes compliments can make women and men feel uncomfortable sometimes. So how would even for something like catcalling be finable or even punishable if it's a case-by-case basis? Like you even said yourself, you don't really find it traumatizing or offensive, and sometimes funny. But for other people, even something like, "Hey, you look pretty," or "Hey, that hat looks really nice on you," can make people feel uncomfortable.
Can I have a motion?
Motion to extend transcription.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, answer the question.
Okay, I didn't understand the question that well, but it's common sense. It's judgment. We can all use our judgment. Like obviously, like if I'm like, hey, like you're really pretty, and there's like, you're such a creep, get away from me. Like that's not what we're saying, but it's the point where if we make someone uncomfortable, why would a nation want that in their society? And if we can make future generations like realize that that's not the way to get people's attention, there's better ways. So
Like people can use their common sense to justify what is a catcall, you know, what's inappropriate to say in the moment and what isn't.
Okay, thank you.
No.
Claire Mahoney.
Okay, so this is a 3 minute subsequent for the content. You tell us my phone.
No, it's for you.
Hello everyone, I'm James Goodman from Public Victoria, and before I begin my speech proper, I must note that it would be morally and ethically wrong of me to minimize the disgust, degradation, and pure fear that people, mostly women, feel when they are catcalled. And I can't dismiss the prevalence of catcalling. The weight of anecdotal and statistical evidence shows that the vast majority of women have been catcalled in their lives, sometimes many times. But catcalling is merely a symptom of a larger problem of male privilege in society. And discouraging catcalling using fines would no more get rid of sexism in society than banning blackface would end racism. Attaching a fine to catcalling would merely make dealing with this sexist microaggression into a bureaucratic nightmare. For a fine to be implemented, catcalling would have to be strictly defined, which is problematic due to catcalling's inherently nebulous, loose nature. Catcallers can catcall in a myriad of ways, some as seemingly innocent as saying hello. And since catcalling is a microaggression, a small act of privilege, catcalling cases would ultimately come down to one person's word versus another's. And that would be too ambiguous in many cases to actually implement the fine. In serious cases, catcalling could be punished as a crime it actually is, which would be stalking or sexual harassment. But in small catcalls, it would just be too ambiguous to ultimately deal with. Of course, we do have to deal with the problem of catcalling in society in some ways. So I ought to explain my own solution. To stop catcalling, we must change the way men think in society. Instead of implementing a fine, we must implement education. We need to teach boys and men that women are not theirs to harass and hit on. That just being on the same street as someone is not an invitation to yell unwanted compliments or whistle at them. We must teach our men this, but not through fire. This is a deeply ingrained problem of our society. And to fully deal with it, we must attack it head on through education and not through a purely financial punishment. At this point, I'd like to yield my time to questions.
Okay, are there any questions? Yeah.
You mentioned only making education towards men. Why not towards everyone?
That's a good point. And when I wrote men in the speech, I actually meant everyone who catcalls, but since catcalling is overall a problem that mostly occurs from men catcalling women rather than the opposite or in the same gender, then the focus would necessarily probably be on men. Any other questions?
Okay. Then if you're good for me to begin. Are there any questions for componency? Yeah.
I'm scared.
Hi, I'm Matilda Kenner from John Marshall High School. I'd like to start off by saying that catcalling is not only just
like gross, makes you feel awkward, make you feel like really unsafe and vulnerable in places where you should be safe on the streets, walking around. There is actually a long history of violence associated with catcalling. Recently in Florida, a man in an SUV was catcalling a 14-year-old girl. He then pulled up and offered her $200 to have sex with her. When she declined, he grabbed her by her hair, pulled her into the vehicle, choked her until she was unconscious, dumped her out on the street, and then ran her over multiple times with his knife. Again, right here in California, a man in a car pulled up to a woman who was jogging and offered her a ride. She refused, so he backed up and hit her twice with a car. In Georgia, a woman was approached by 3 men trying to talk to her. Their reaction to being ignored was for 2 of them to hold her down and the other one sexually assault her. In case you think this is a problem limited to women, just last week in San Francisco, a man named Ben Schwartz was stabbed 9 times in the stomach by his girlfriend's catcalling. These may seem like isolated cases, but according to a study of 811 women, 75% said they had been followed by a man who didn't know. 50% said they had been sexually touched, and 25% had been assaulted. Furthermore, 25% said their street harassment started after before the age of 12, and more than 90% said that they had been harassed by age 19. One of the arguments from the booklet there is no way of enforcing this law because you could say the exact same about littering. There is a fine for that. The point is not how many fines we can collect from offenders of people who catcall. It's about the government sending a message that this is not okay. If there were a fine, maybe catcallers would think once or twice before they actually take action. Yeah. It's not fair for me not to feel safe walking 2 blocks from my friend's house at 10 p.m. I am 15 years old, and it has happened. I've been catcalled, and it makes me feel vulnerable. It's not okay, and it does lead to violent actions, and the government needs to say this is not okay. It's degrading and disgusting, and it needs to stop, and I please urge you to vote pro.
Okay, we have time for one question. Yeah.
Do you believe that it would also be okay to find other instances of harassment? Then, like if I was out walking with my sister and we got in a fight and I called her a hoe and she called me a dick or something like that, would we both be liable for something because we're harassing each other?
With your sister?
Yeah, say or anybody, my friend.
Like your sister, I don't know. It's hard to define catcalling, but like. I think it's just an issue of like the government needs to say this is not okay, and
So no public questions, okay?
Okay, the speaker time is elapsed. Thank you very much. Please don't forget to switch the item. Hey, you guys! 3-minute con speech now.
At the end of the day, it makes you feel like
You're losing a lot.
Catcalling can be a compliment, or it also can be flattering.
But it can also be degrading if taken the wrong way.
But there's no way of knowing or proving what the initial intention of the person was.
In the American court system, you're not only guilty if proven without a reasonable doubt.
It is a classic he said, she said. It's one person's words versus another. It's like in preschool when 2 people hit each other and they both tell the teacher he did it or she did it or whatever. And the teacher never saw it, therefore never cannot be revelation.
But why go to the court on terms of the First Amendment free speech?
People have the right to say or do whatever they please as long as it is not threatening or physical.
The speaker before mentioned a girl or multiple girls who were assaulted or sexually harassed. But that's a crime on its own. Catcalling is verbal. If you're actually harassed by someone, that's physical and that's a separate crime. If there's no physical contact, it's not dangerous.
A fine isn't necessary because there isn't any physical contact and the intention of the catcall is unknown.
We go the rest of our time.
Do you not think that this farms? You don't
No,
think
it's
that
not
somebody
threatening another person's rights.
recognizing you on the streets or
It's not threatening my rights. Like, legally, it's not.
Hi, my name is Curtis Huff, and I'm from the Buckley School. And before I start buttoning my opponent's points, I'm going to start with a little story that might be relatable to everyone, not just girls. In Rome, in 1997, a 45-year-old driving instructor was accused of rape. When he picked up an 18-year-old girl from her first driving lesson, he allegedly raped her for an hour and then told her that if she was to tell anyone, he would kill her. Later that night, she told her parents and her parents agreed to help her press charges. When the alleged rapist was convicted and sentenced, the Italian Supreme Court overturned the conviction in 1998 because the victim wore tight jeans. It was argued that she must have necessarily have had to help her attacker remove her jeans, thus making the act consensual. You might ask yourself, why is she talking about rape when this is a catcalling argument? But some people might make up the excuse that, oh, she's wearing really tight shorts, she's wearing a really tight skirt, she's wearing Lululemon leggings that make her butt look really good. That they must want to be catcalled. My opponent said that it's not going to be able to be fined. Well, as the speaker said, littering is fined, and it's something that happens just as common as catcalling is. Catcalling is degrading and harmful to everyone. It makes you feel uncomfortable, and it makes, personally, as a girl, it's very hard to have self-esteem and confidence in this, like, daily social life. And just having a guy say your ass looks really nice, or like calling you out in front of the street in front of everyone, like saying your legs look really, you're like, damn, look at those legs, in front of all of your friends, like tears down hours and hours of self-esteem, of hard work, of your accomplishments. And I think that it should be fine because morally it's not an okay thing. I give the rest of my time to.
Are there any questions? Yeah.
Why would you say that someone said, why would you say that that's not unambiguous hate speech? Why is that?
You're not going to see people, it's more common for catcalling. You see it all the time on TikTok, on Instagram, just in common life, but you're not going to see someone like making a term to JK as it's not a socially acceptable thing like catcalling has become.
No, the time left, sorry. So thank you.
Send my hands up. Send my hands up. My hands up, sorry.
Thank you. Also, if anyone wants the key card, we just find one.
So I'm just going to kind of begin by, I have personal experience with catcalling. I run cross country and long distance track, so oftentimes we're running off campus, and I and my teammates experience catcalling every single day. I mean, we are just running out there, and we have to, we don't have to, but we do wear shorts in order to make it more comfortable to practice. And if we wore things like leggings or long sweatshirts, that would just kind of hinder our ability to practice and make it a little bit harder to run. While I do agree that catcalling is it's annoying, but it's furthermore it's dangerous. There's no way to catch it. There's no way to. It's kind of a waste of time. Like someone mentioned before, that saying so they said something like, "Oh, come on, boys, let's go pursue this catcaller." That's a waste of time. Because you have these honorable men in uniform, and they need, or women, men and women, and whatever gender you identify with. You know, you have these people and they're pursuing other crimes, and they're doing things that are harming people more. Now, I agree that catcalling can be detrimental to those who have been a victim of rape. It's kind of, it is impossible to catch. And what we need to focus on is teaching men and little boys and little girls, because girls can't catcall. We need to teach them to not objectify other people for their body. Do not objectify people for what they wear. It's not right. It's not, you do have a right to freedom of speech, but you need to think about it. It's moral, and it's not an issue that can be solved by fining people, but it is an issue that can be solved by raising the children right. Thank you. You might have a question.
You say that the way to stop catcalling is by education, but by putting a fine, wouldn't itself educate people and tell them that it's wrong to do this, that's not okay, it's illegal?
I think that's a good point, but what I'm trying to say is that fining would be not impossible. Like, I'm sure that there's going to be like, oh, like that's not okay if they give them a ticket or a fine. But I think that, you know, if you are a parent or an educator, it's your job to say, hey, you know, that's not right. You can't treat someone like that. It's do not objectify, do not over sexualize. Any other questions?
Yeah. You know how you say if you're joking with the police and you're like, hey guys, we got a catcalling. I feel like that's really relevant because we're not saying we're going to arrest them or anything. It's just a fine, like literally, like not keeping your dog in case. If someone doesn't keep their dog, keep the dog with the cops, they're all going to come here and find out. We're just saying, I'm just wondering, like, what do you mean? Why do you think it's even like relevant to that? Why do you think it's a big deal? It's not taking so much time off their hands.
Like, it was an exaggerated joke, I'll admit, but the thing is that it's not like we can really, like, it's not like someone can call and be like, I just got catcalled, please pursue this. Because it's kind of like, okay, well, what if they're trying to do something else? And it kind of just takes more time out of the day when they could be pursuing maybe things that involve more people that can harm more people. You know what I mean?
Okay, that we don't have time. Here, I'm gonna go to the rest. Okay, so any subsequent for the proponency? You appreciate it.
He's almost done.
Gotta do Henry Huang. Henry Huang.
Ooh, high roller.
Do you feel unsafe Have you ever been catcalled before?
Yeah, people have called me a messenger.
That's not, that's not a catcall, that's an insult.
Okay, same thing. Phil.
They once said like, yeah.
Oh my God.
Why did the University of Virginia just spend all of why did Oscar Pistorius get off the hook for murdering his girlfriend in a jealous rage? Why, despite having numerous allegations of sexual assault, have Woody Allen and Bill Cosby never seen jail time? And why do catcallers continue to assault women? It all comes down to rage culture. Now, what is catcalling? We've already defined this. It's basically sexual harassment of individuals, usually male, calling out other individuals in a sexual or lewd manner, and those other individuals are typically women. More importantly, what does it mean exactly? Catcalling is inherently sexual, and it's a form of asserting dominance over the other gender. It's a manner in which men can belittle women, and catcalling is a part of a larger problem that leads to women getting paid 77 cents for every man's dollar, and it also leads to women not having as many leadership positions, and why there's only one woman for every 3 men in Congress. Now, catcalling also makes them feel fear for their lives. Other speakers have already detailed the countless cases of catcallers who later raped or violently sexually assaulted women after initially catcalling them. Sexual harassment is, in fact, a crime in the United States.
And finding catcallers would be a completely logical and actually incredibly minor consequence for this incredibly degrading action. If we want to stem the growth of rape culture in America today, this is an excellent first step. Now, while the main con speaker pointed out the fact that hate groups such as the KKK or the Westboro Baptist Church are not kind for their actions or what they say, it should be known that these groups are only allowed to say what they say in certain settings. Like, there are definitely regulations. The KKK has to file for parade permits or other permits when they have demonstrations as any protest group along with the Westboro Baptist Church. So if a KKK member were to follow an individual to their home and continue verbally assaulting them, then that would be considered a crime. It would be stalking. And that is exactly what catcallers do. So these are two distinguishable events because catcallers don't have permissions or permits to assemble and assault women. Finally, I'd like to mention that several speakers pointed out that it's impossible to catch catcallers. How many of you guys have video recorders on your phone? I'm sure most of you. So yeah, we would have evidence. It's very easy to video record someone assaulting someone else. So in short, catcalling perpetuates rape culture. It's awful, and fines are perfectly logical. Thank you.
Sam, my hand's ready. Sam, my hand's ready. Henry! Oh, I'm going fine.
Alright, long story short. Here I would like to start from a saying on the gate of Dachau concentration camp in Germany, written by a poet in 17th century Germany also. If a government starts to shut its people off without stop, the next step is to kill the people to let them shut up forever. Americans always say that this is one nation under God. Actually, it is like one nation under Constitution. Everybody knows that there is the First Amendment. It always existed to protect the freedom of speech. I need to, as everybody said, okay, do I need to read the whole thing about First Amendment?
No, we got it.
Okay, thank you. It's a freedom of speech. It's always under well protected. I cannot deny that there might be some people doing it's like a being like sexual offender. But think of the fact, there are still people trying to joke with others, to express as a sort of like a symbol of the friendship. It's like a basic, like, hey baby, how are you doing today? It's like things like that. It's not like offensive. If we are going to say that this is like a sexual offender and we don't want this anymore, what are we going to do next? Have a guess. I mean, are we going to ban the idea that you say to your classmate or colleagues, you look pretty today? What's wrong with this country? and also to me, in a situation like this, it's actually the lack of the education. Well, I love America, but sorry, I still need to make this clear. American has a rape culture. It does not that much respect women as equal and active part in a society. And I also believe this. We as human beings, we always have kindness. It's how are we going to discover the kindness of human being? So I don't find it necessary to fine the people forever for a little mistake or a joke to let them lose the chance that they can to let them to carry a black dirt on their back forever, to let them will never have a chance because it's just of a little joke. This is not this country is founded for. The only thing we need to do is to find the kindness of people and let it glow, let it shine, so that there will be no more catcalling and everyone can enjoy the benefits of living in the lighthouse of Western civilization and democracy. Thank you. Yeah, my time to All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, this is going to be our last round.
Rachel.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Rachel Anderson. I'm just not going to stand behind the podium. A lot of the speakers before have the pro speakers before have been talking about the fact that this, making a fine for catcalling, it's not going to outlaw it completely. It's not going to like stop catcalling completely. Boys are going to be boys. They're going to be kind of ridiculous sometimes, and whatever. It's just going to happen. But the reason we need to create a fine is so that they learn how to that they should refrain from something like this. I don't know. I think that the fact that this is verbal harassment, honestly. There were a few people in the comments that said that verbal harassment is okay because it's not physical, but that's like saying that bullying is okay just because you're not physically hurting somebody, but that doesn't mean that, somebody who is harassed every single day. I'm sorry, hold on. I'm sick, you guys. I'm just the thing is that any kind of verbal harassment shouldn't be just allowed. If you're a police officer and you see somebody get called out on the street and harassed and followed, you should be able to do something about it. You shouldn't just stand by and let that happen. In addition, I'd just like to say that like a girl can be walking around in a sweatshirt and jeans. It doesn't matter what they look like. Boys are gonna be boys. They're gonna try to harass them, try to get something out of them, and I don't think that it's okay to just let that happen. And I think a lot of people are doing it. I know. I just specifically want to make the point that verbal harassment is not okay to support. I feel no longer here.
Wait, question.
Oh wait, I forgot this too. Sorry.
Oh, suspenders. Nice suspenders.
Okay, we heard a lot of stories about men raping. Now, I want to get us back on topic. Our topic is resolved that catcalling should be fined. If you think fining someone for catcalling will stop rape, then you're wrong. People that rape are deranged people. They're not okay. It's not okay to rape. You don't need 100% IQ to know that rape is not okay. Right? It's not okay to rape. I want to make that very clear. So putting a fine in place, it won't stop the men that will do this anyway. Just like putting a fine or imprisoning people, for that matter, for smoking marijuana will stop them from smoking marijuana. It won't. It really won't. Also, someone said we all have video recording devices. We have our phones. But even so, when someone's catcalling, you don't have your phone out recording them before they're catcalling. That's not how it works. You don't have your phone out recording someone assaulting you. Well, when someone assaults you, you can see that someone assaults you. Yeah. Also, when someone catcalls, it's important to know that words are very hard to judge. When someone says something, you have to judge it as a catcall or not a catcall or a compliment or a joke. That's way too complicated. We already have enough complications in our legal system. Do we really need more to deal with? Really? So, to summarize, it's society that needs to change. Someone who said boys will be boys, that's pretty offensive. That's general. I'm pretty offended by that. That's
I wasn't.
You're catcalling. Like, honestly, you don't know if someone is calling you a massive dick, right? How am I supposed to know whether they mean it or not? No. Society wants to change. It's not the government's job to change society. Society changes with time. The rape culture that's developing will go away as we become better as a society. That's pretty general, but if you catch my drift. Thank you. That's all.
Motion to previous question.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, so we're gonna start with name speech from the opponents. 3 minutes each. Go. Let's be.
You're so fired up for me.
Sorry. Okay, cool. So again, my name is Jonas Schwimmer. So we're good. In this debate, I've heard several arguments against catcalling, and I agree with all of these. However, this debate is not about a man physically abusing a woman. This debate is not about a man murdering a woman. This debate is not about celebrities not facing jail time for forcing themselves upon women. All of these instances of women being abused or murdered are horrible, and justly so, but are not the subject of debate. This is about a man calling to a woman on the street and placing a fine on that. Catcalling involves no physical contact. That goes into the category of assault. I think we can all agree that catcalling is a product of the misogynistic nature of our society since the beginning of the human race. It is unfortunate and degrading, but it is not illegal. Also, aside from the morality of the issue, the practicality of the fine on catcalling makes no sense whatsoever. Police officers are not going to travel to a scene of a catcalling and literally give someone a fine. Just saying that a fine should be placed on catcalling is useless unless you have a suggestion on how to effectively enforce that fine. It's impossible, whether we like it or not. If I were to propose a potential solution to catcalling, I'd promote the education of young boys and girls today in promoting equality amongst men and women. This would be real, effective action. I'd like to close with a quote from Voltaire. I do not agree with what you have to say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. Thank you.
Okay, now we're gonna have a 3-minute closing from the opponents.
Yeah.
So you're saying that I could tell my teacher, anyone in here, you did not X yourself. Basically, because, because I can't, or like the teacher, my principal, you could go X yourself. Like, I get immediately kicked out. So, freedom of speech does not involve with this. And a lot of people are talking about, it's not gonna end. Wait, what? Hold on. That catcalling is not gonna end. Yeah, okay, whatever. It's not gonna end. It's not. But I just wanna like limit it so then like people won't feel uncomfortable to walk. Like what you were saying, this like one lady right here. Are you saying that like you can walk 2 blocks or whatever and everything? Yeah, that is true. I can't even walk to the bigger store. Let's say like 4 houses away without a guy being like hey girl, what's up? Hey girl. Like I'm not a girl. I have a name. Please tell me about my name, please. I have a name. You want to ask for it nicely, not hey girl, your name? It's like okay, what's your name? Respectfully, not with like a negative tone. Like I'm not gonna like go to someone like like your butt.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I just wanted to say basically that catcalling, it's not a joke. Not a joke at all. You catcall someone and then you say, you ignore them, you keep walking. Someone, that person, whoever is catcalling you, they like keep pushing you. They might stop you. They'll be like, hey girl, or like he might call you like I can't say it, but whatever. The B word. He might throw stuff at you, whatever. That has happened to me before. I have thrown stuff back, but either at the end of the day, the person that's gonna catcall you, he's gonna do it. But we just want it to be fine so that they know that
that he's gonna have to pay for something that he did because he's making someone feel uncomfortable, and that is not okay.
So I'm going to take a vote on the resolution. The resolution states that catcalling be made punishable with a fine. Can all those in favor please stand up?
That's embarrassing.
Seriously, yeah. It's a personal.
Great culture.
Okay, you guys can all sit down. Hey, you guys, we're not done yet. Can all those opposed to resolution please stand up and raise your hand?
Nice
Okay, you guys can all sit down. Are there any abstentions? Stand up.
Of course you do. Go right now?
Or Enrique. Yeah.
Well, I was catcalled by you, dude.
Okay, this resolution fails the vote of 33 to 80 to 11.